Stability never felt better. The first 5 miles, you're just getting warmed up. From downtown to uptown, you'll take the scenic route. Tired legs? You'll feel fresh. From first steps to final strides. Steep hills, super steep hills. Long runs, even longer runs. Whatever comes, you can run through it. With stability, cushioning, and more comfort than ever in every step. Because nothing feels better than the adaptive stability and premium comfort of the Gel Kayano 30 shoe.
Welcome back, track nerds. We're at day 3, CITIUS MAG live. So yes, we are live, Coach. And Chris is currently to my side, publishing a podcast, writing a newsletter, drafting a tweet, doing interviews. I don't know. He's busy. But instead, I'm joined by my much more handsome sub 5-minute mile running co-host, David McCarthy. As you guys know, sub 5, even sub 4. And Chris hasn't even heard of that. And so, as you know, this whole week, everything that we're doing here at Worlds is powered by ASICS, and we're very, very fortunate to be working with them, a World Athletics sponsor in and of themselves. So we thought it'd be a good idea to bring on an ASICS athlete today who will be competing at the World Championships, Nico Montañez, 2:09:55. Every second counts. I learned that before we started rolling here. And, of course, his coach, Andrew Kastor of the Mammoth Track Club. Do you call it track club? It's like, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
Track and road running club. Do you ever think of that?
Track club.
We do cross country too.
Yeah. Well, thanks both for being here and joining us. Welcome. When did you get in?
I got in, let's see, the 19th, so Saturday. So it'll be a little over 48 hours that I've been here. So still adjusting to sleep, but happy to be here. Any
tips or tricks? How many times have you gone across the pond that you give?
Yeah, it's been a few times, but I was just telling Nico this, we did when my wife was competing back in the early 2000s. We went to a marathon symposium right before the Athens Olympics, and they said, those experts said that, we need 1 day for every hour of time zone change. So he left on day 9. Out from the marathon and got here on 8 days ago. So he's going to be well adjusted.
And say apart from just even taking that in consideration, is there any other things leading into it before the flight that you're doing to enable recovery, post-flight? Whether it's you wearing your compression socks on the plane, all of these little things.
Yeah, so it's funny you asked that because I told my mom, I haggled her about, because she's coming to the race. So she flies this week, and I told her all about compression socks, and then I didn't wear mine on the plane.
Well, you were obviously in first class, I hope.
No, I was
a man of the people. That's where I sat.
That's right, blue collar. So no, unfortunately I didn't wear the compression socks. I usually do melatonin on the plane too if I can, but I just try to be a little more natural. I wanted to get away from that kind of stuff. So I think it was just really getting here, and then all the stress would be kind of put on Andrew, if you will, and everyone else. So. And
say, Andrew, when you're preparing an athlete for a race like this, that's multiple time zones in the difference compared to being back in America running a marathon. You got to get the person in shape to run the race, but you have this obstacle of you're going over here for a couple of days in advance beforehand. Temperatures, time zones are different. How do you make sure that you're still getting the best Nico to the line with all of this in front of you in a week in advance?
Yeah, sure. It's, the fitter you are, the easier you can adapt to the heat, humidity, and time zone. So we just focus on getting Nico as fit as humanly possible. Then let those other variables when we get here take care of themselves. So that's the main thing is just getting fit.
Everything's easy when you're fit. Things fall into place.
I mean, yeah, we've all competed, and it's that my baggage was lost, or my flight was delayed. I got in a day later, but you're so fit it doesn't matter.
But it is true. You're not as irritable. Life is good. You're showing up confident.
And when you say getting as fit as possible, because obviously that's always the goal. But what is that for you? Like, and how do you like focus on getting like, everyone wants to be as fit as you can, but like, how are you, preparing for that in the training? Like,
Go ahead, Nico.
Yeah, I feel like I have a ton of like answers, but I think for me anyways, it's mentally getting fit first. So sometimes I know it could be different, like you have to get physically fit and then the mental part will come.
and what does that look like, the mental fitness, like in terms of how are you developing that and preparing it?
Yeah, so it starts in just the easy runs with like, if the volume's been like it's a big week or something like that, if I have no workouts, it's just mentally getting not through that because you enjoy the mileage as a marathoner typically, but mentally just knowing like every week is feeding on itself. So just getting mentally prepared for that, and then you mentally start to look forward to workouts, and then when it does get hard, which it always does get hard at some point, like you look forward to that. So I think almost embracing that type of challenge, and I've had so many mental barriers, if you will, and physical barriers in this build in particular. I don't know why, I couldn't tell you why exactly, but a lot of things I had to get over and really just like get strong about. But yeah, so for me, I think it's mentally fit first, and then the physical part comes second, and then it all comes together at the end. So
How different is it dealing with a marathoner versus a track athlete? A track athlete, you have a race, goes well, great. If it doesn't go well, all right, we can probably find another one somewhere in Belgium in 3 days to try again. Marathoner is such a long buildup. So I guess, are there certain athletes that thrive in that sort of an environment versus a track athlete?
Yeah, I mean, just through our team, the old guard, if you will, the Mammoth Track Club with Ryan Hall and my wife Dina and Meb, and they were always on the cycle of having a marathon every 6 months. So if one didn't go well, we had to wait another 6 months to do another one. It wasn't like we could run one a month later or whatever. So that's just part of the sport. That's just part of the event of marathoning. I mean, I think marathoners typically have 4 or 5 good marathons in their career. Ones that they can really.
How many is Nico at? We have a couple left, right?
He's got one already.
I think I'm just getting started.
Use them wisely.
Yeah. So no, he still has a long career ahead of him. He's not even 30 yet.
After that 5th one, though, you might as well
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And that's subjective too, But no, that's just the nature of the beast. Being able to come back, and we're thankful that Nico was selected for this team here. It gives us a lot of time to turn around and prepare for the trials in February. So we were talking about taking a break after this, and Nico's like, "I'm gonna take 3 weeks off." I'm like, "Fine, I don't want to see you for 4." So,
all right, 5.
Yeah, and that's the art of recovering from a marathon, recovering from the buildup.
And like say, every 6 months you're leading into that marathon. How do you break down that 6 months? So you're talking about already maybe a month's break after World Championships. How do you I suppose periodize the training or build it or break it down? 6 months is a long time. There can be a lot of training done. How are you keeping an athlete, under control as well? So I suppose just what's your philosophy in that sort of 6 months out, and when are you really getting into that marathon specific work, and how long are you staying out of it?
I told you he'd grill you on training.
Yeah,
I just wanted to. I warned you.
I love nuts and bolts of training. That's what I do. So typically after a marathon, it's not just the race that destroys you. It's the training leading up to it and the mental aspect, the emotion that you put into it. So taking a month off, whether that's 2 weeks of no running and then 2 weeks of just hiking and jogging, whatever, but it's like a month of downtime, and then it's 4 to 6 weeks of just easy buildup, easy volume, and then you go into a 14 to 18 week marathon specific, and then it's 3 week, 2.5, 3 week taper going into the race. So it turns around pretty quick. Yeah.
And over the years, have you with that taper, is it very individual to the athlete, or have you found it's kind of general to everyone else? And, I suppose some people run the risk of training too hard into the race. And I suppose that's part of, maybe you feel that as well, Nico, with the marathon build up. it's a lot of training, and I'm sure a lot of the time you're going through it and you're feeling tired and you're like thinking in your head, oh my God, like I'm supposed to be fresh running 26 miles. Like, how do you also keep the athlete confident that that freshness will come into play? And I suppose at least having 3 weeks out, there is plenty of time for freshness to come back into the body.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nico, this is what, maybe like your 6th marathon buildup or 5th or 6th or something. So he's becoming a seasoned marathoner, so he knows how to throttle and when to step on the accelerator, when to let off a little bit. So the last 3 weeks of training, I kind of defer to him and how he's feeling. I do have a game plan that we try to follow, but like this week, it's like, well, he's a little tired, so we're gonna push the Tuesday workout to Wednesday. So you got to give and take a little bit. During the first 10 weeks or 12 weeks of the buildup, it's like, I don't care if you're tired or not. You got to show up to practice. He's like, oh, coach, I'm so tired. You showed up to practice, but he still gets his 7 by a mile and at 4:30 pace done somehow, some way. And that's just the art of marathon training, is being able to come into a workout calloused and be like, I feel like crap. But the first one comes through, it's like 4:36. Then you start chopping it down, and by the end, he's running 4:26. So that's just marathon training in itself.
I will say I had a 6-mile tempo right before I flew out the next day, leaving Mammoth, and to me, I didn't hit the splits I wanted, so I was so frustrated. And I called coach up, and I could tell, like, oh, I'm in this cycle of, like, I need someone to kind of cater to me a little bit. Tell me I'm good.
High maintenance athlete.
And of course, the splits weren't actually that bad, but to me, the way that I felt, the level of exertion was like, oh, come on. But I think that's the taper. And
so, like, how did you, gain that confidence back? Like, or take it as just, like, a rough day? Like,
yeah, I try to be objective about things. And so I was just honest with myself. I was like, I haven't been getting much sleep leading up to this tempo. I've been stressed about traveling, making sure I have everything in my bag and my singlet and my shoes, and, thinking about traveling down from Mammoth to LA, and that's a whole endeavor. So I think just being really honest with myself, and the fact that I did also 800s on Monday, and that workout went perfect. In fact, I felt so good. I could have felt like I could have done 50, like 800s. Right. So, and Andrew's like, you don't lose fitness in 72 hours. So it was like Monday to Thursday. So yeah, I just had to like really be objective about things.
Recovery. What are some of your recovery techniques? Like, how do you, in marathon training, cause you're doing so much training, you have to imagine like the recovery, the absorption and growth of fitness is dependent on the recovery. So like, what is that for you?
So, I recently got back into cold baths, so I know there's a lot of like different takes on it, but for me they were helping because my body would be throbbing, and I take an ice bath and I go double that evening and I feel amazing. And something newer I've been trying, which again isn't really new to anyone else, but some cold showers, especially the night before workouts. For some reason I'll do a really cold shower, so I'm freezing, and then warm my body back up, and for some reason I feel amazing the next morning for a big workout.
Yeah,
so
it's funny you said that. I've kind of read I was only saying it to the lads who are out in the run. There's a couple of studies done. It's like we look at ice as a recovery process, but I also think too there's studies out there showing that like cold showers release endorphins into the body, which kind of almost like wake you up and activate you, so you're bringing like a fresher, more energetic body to training.
Yeah, I mean, I caught myself smiling like after I was drying off, and I was like, this is weird. I'm like smiling to myself. So
marathoners are such massive.
We're so weird.
So Mac came out and visited you in Mammoth for what was a really big run. Are there certain workouts that you're reflecting on in this week going in where you're like, all right, like let's remember that 7 by mile, let's remember that long run? Or is it kind of, hey, clean slate, we did the work, we've had good buildups in marathons that don't go well, and we've had bad buildups in marathons do go well. So where's your mind at in regards to long, short-term memory?
Yeah, I think if I had done this 3-part series of those long runs, I think I would reflect more on that. But now I'm thinking of all the cumulative mileage over the years. So I think that'll come into effect. I hope for it to come into effect Sunday. So right now I'm more taking the approach of just like each year is stacking upon itself, and one day I'm gonna hit a home run, and hopefully stay at that level. But no particular workout, because I know like one workout doesn't make you and one workout doesn't break you either. So biggest mileage I've ever done in Mammoth. But again, I don't really know what that means because
it was like 130.
Yeah, so I did 2 weeks at 130 and then 1 week at 127, but that was sprinkled out throughout the build and mostly 125s and 120s. But again, I don't know what that means because it's all going to be cumulative eventually. So.
Andrew, in the build-up with an athlete's training, what are some of the sort of key things in training you're looking to kind of hit on in that, we'll say 3 months out, in terms of whether it's a mileage or specific workouts? What are some of the things that are telling you like an athlete is on track?
Yeah, showing up and getting the work done each day and hitting each workout. Aside from the one workout that Nico mentioned, the 6 mile, just like on, what was it, a few days ago, that was the only one that didn't go super well. Everything else went great. But there's some key benchmark workouts, like we did. Nico on Monday of last week ran 10 by 800 with 2-minute recovery and averaged 213, and I knew you would. I knew you'd run 213 average. That's a pretty good indicator of what kind of fitness he's in. There's some math involved with that, with altitude and everything. But then we have on Benton Crossing Road, our Green Church Road, if you will. Historically, I have all this data on athletes, whatever they can run for 10 miles in a 10-mile tempo or 10-mile time trial. That's the pace that they can hold at sea level for a marathon.
I don't know if I believe it, but it works.
It was that good, was it? Yeah.
It's within a couple seconds. As long as they're doing marathon volume.
Every second counts.
Every second counts. Yes. Yeah. So there's some barometers, there's some measuring sticks, there's some benchmarks that I can kind of see, and then you got to kind of read the tea leaves a little bit, like how's the athlete feeling and what's their mood like, and are they showing up to practice, completely dead tired from the training that they just done, or are they coming to like practice with some life, some color in their face, if you will?
So earlier you had said, and I don't think it's name dropping when it's your former athletes and wife, but Dina and Ryan and Meb, how different has the training been like in today's world with Nico and the periodization and the preparation? Like, are those foundational workouts that you have today significantly different than say 20 years ago?
We're doing pretty much very similar training to what my wife did when she was going to the Olympics and winning London and winning Chicago. The workouts are fairly the same. The tapers very similar as well. Nico and I have come up with these marathon concentration runs, which are just based on time and that marathon effort. That's the one that Matt came up for. He did. Nico, you ran the hour 45, and
yep.
He covered like 19.2 or 19.3 miles. So it was like 5:25 pace at 7,000 feet at that marathon effort. So it's about feeling uncomfortable for a long period of time on the pavement. Those are a little new to the program, but the volumes are still the same. The training venues are still the same. Topography and geography don't really change all that much where we are.
When you look at the whole scope of marathoning in the world right now, there's some countries that have unbelievable depth, like, of course the African countries, but even Japan. And you come to the world championships, you go to marathon majors, and despite maybe not having that same depth or those top PBs, American athletes do consistently perform really well at those world marathon majors and the championships. So why does that happen, in your opinion? Like, where, hey, Japan has like 30 guys who are all running under 207, but then when we get to Worlds, the Olympics, New York Marathon, et cetera, our men show up and our women show up?
I think you should take that.
I think we're gamers. We're gamers. I think the courses over there in Japan, they're all lightning fast. They have such huge depth. You get 50 guys running under 211 all in the same day, and I think it's just a cultural thing. I don't think that bleeds over into the track necessarily, to the 1500, 800, steeplechase, whatever. But marathoning is, those are corporate events. There's a lot of weight behind those races. But I think the U.S. is just gamers, and we know how to show up and get the job done in the championships.
Nico, I was just going through World Athletics, looking at some of your PBs, particularly your track PBs.
Oh, right. Those things.
So we're talking 1500, 358.
That sounds right. Yeah.
3K 838.
Probably. Yeah.
This isn't a roast, dude.
No. I'm getting somewhere with this, right?
Yeah.
And then just under the 14 minutes for 5K. But
Yes.
in NCAA's cross, was it 9 or 8 was your best finish?
I was ninth, yeah.
So, like, I mean, and now seeing where you're at, like, there's kids out there who are running those times thinking, like, there is no future for them in the sport. And obviously, like, you know, the marathon is a completely different game. You know, did you always feel that was for you? Or, like, you know, how do you, like, not get so disheartened when you're looking? Because as a kid, the marathon isn't there, right? You're comparing yourself to everyone on the track. So how do you keep that confidence in yourself that you know you have a career in the sport?
For me, I got so lucky with my coaches, from Coach Eystone at BYU to even my high school coaches and then my junior college coach. I found a sense for the long stuff very early in my career. So high school, I found out that doing a 10-mile run would just like suited me so well after every race. And I just like felt bliss. Like I felt so much like
Would
peace.
you do that after a race?
Okay, so the next day. So
Okay,
if we raced
sorry.
Saturday, Sunday was Sunday long run was
Yeah.
a 10-mile run, you know, and I ran like 30 miles a week. So a lot of it was coming on Sunday, but I loved it, you know, and then, so I found comfort in that. And then, so I had people preaching in my ear from a very young age that I was going to be some sort of a long distance runner. And so when I finally accepted that, that was when things came together, and I noticed I was better at the long stuff. Like I can recall doing a tempo at BYU with some of the older guys. Like I don't know if Jared Ward did it at the time, but I know a guy named Connor McMillan who was 10th at New York. We did a tempo together. We called it our Lake Loop tempo. I ran 4:53 pace, and I still hadn't qualified to make it to regionals on the track. And so Coach Eystone was there, and that indicated to him that I was ready to run a fast time to make it to regionals. And I was so confident I was going to do it. And I tried and I failed. I think I ran like 31 minutes at altitude, or maybe 32. And so it was discouraging still to not figure out the track, but that was like my own doing. Like I got in my own way. So I think just finding people that believe in you really is like a really big factor. And so like just having that repeated all the time, you know, was like the repetitive, like you're going to be great at like a long distance event, whether that was the marathon or not. And then it was really affirming when I had like a good practice or a good race, and Coach Eystone's like, oh yeah, you got that marathon shuffle, like that, you're going to be perfect for that. And so that was like, yes, like, and so, yeah.
Like say, you know, obviously there's the part of like an athlete is they have the capability of being a marathon runner. And there's a lot of track people think, yeah, oh no, I'm just going to step up to the marathon. But it's not a case of just throwing on another 30 miles onto the end of your training week. Like, you know, there is a process of learning how to race a marathon. And probably a lot of the time training can look really good coming in. But then there's the thing of putting the 26 miles back to back. And like how long, like Andrew, like, you know, can it take to develop that skill? And it's not something that like you just get straight away.
No, it is a learned, it's a learned behavior, if you will. You got to learn to be patient the first 20 miles and run the first 20 miles with your mind, and the last 10K with your heart, so to speak. So you kind of go to sleep the first half, and then you slowly wake up and start competing against the other athletes. So yeah, it's definitely a learned experience for sure.
Something that was said in the highlight video we did was that you wanted to do this for so many more years, even still, right? Like, I guess, was that always the way that your mindset was? And then what's the advantage of knowing, like, hey, you know, this weekend isn't the last race of my career, and being able to look years down the line? I bet also from a coaching perspective, it's nice to have that.
I think that goes back to my coaches. Like, my junior college coach made a world team for cross country, multiple actually. He was a professional runner himself. He ran with Coach Eystone on the cross country world team, so they ran together. So I think just knowing where they had come from and the advice that they had given me at that point in my life was like, yeah, I want to do this for like a long time. And then I started to learn about the marathon, and like, oh, like people in their 30s, mid to late 30s are crushing it. And I don't know why that is, but you know, then coming to Mammoth, I put that all together. So yeah, I think just knowing like, this is what I love to do, and it's like such a passion, you know, even though sometimes it is hard to get out for a double because you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, you know.
Some people don't like growing old, but maybe as a marathoner, you're like,
Yeah.
finally, I've got the miles.
I guess that's why they call it the old man sport, right? I don't know.
So looking at this weekend, what are we defining as a win here? Like, what is the goal when we are on our flight back, or you know, to our 5-week break? What is the barometer of success?
So I've put time, I've put place, and I think up until recently, you know, I've even thought about it like I'm getting to the start line healthy, and that's like such a celebration of success. But I think going out and competing very, very well and being in the moment. So I can recall Houston half marathon when I had my breakout race finally, and I was technically top American due to time. I was in the moment, in the race, competing. And so for me, that's going to be the same on Sunday. And even Chicago, I was so patient and just like so understanding of myself that I want to bring that same energy, hopefully, to Sunday. And then like I know I can have my breakout performance still regardless of the weather. So 209.55, like I'm looking at it as like 210, and we're ready to go 209 or better. So that's kind of how I feel about it. So.
And then I guess my final question, you know, you had said before you passed on a previous opportunity to represent the U.S. at a world championship. Why did you decide to do it this time? And then what does it mean to be able to put on the U.S. jersey?
Yeah, so again, I would go back to my junior college coach and Coach Ice running on the same team, and them implementing like world teams matter so much to represent something bigger than yourself. And then for me, it's always been about self-actualization and learning about myself and growing and understanding myself. So when I do that, like I hope to allow people to do that for themselves too. So I hope like putting on that jersey and representing, and my PRs that are not very fast on the track, like I can inspire people, because I want people to run faster than me. I want them to, you know, the younger generation and older generation to be like, I can do that too. So I think it's really just about inspiring at this point. So I've been lucky to have coach and a good backing to do that.
With 1 mile to go, just remember David reading out your 1,500 PBs, and just I think that's the motivation you need.
You probably like you ran faster in training.
Sure, yes,
you know,
I have.
Or you ran faster in training for like 8 by mile. You know, you're knocking out 4:30s there. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, Nico, Andrew, thanks so much for joining us today. This was awesome. Good luck. We'll be out there cheering for you. I know there's a lot of places on the course we'll be able to find you. Thanks so much. ASICS supporting you. I know you're gonna have the what are you wearing on your feet?
Menace Speed Sky Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an Edge guy, you know.
Nice. I love Edge too.
All right. Well, we'll be right back after this short break with Natasha Wodak.
ASICS. Sound mind, sound body. 365 days. 1 year until history is made. A lifetime of preparation that will lead us to the ultimate test. 365 days until we show the world what a sound mind and a sound body can do. See you in Paris.
Stability never felt better.
ASICS. Sound mind, sound body. 365 days. 1 year until history is made. A lifetime of preparation that will lead us to the ultimate test. 365 days until we show the world what a sound mind and a sound body can do. See you in Paris.
Stability never felt better. The first 5 miles, you're just getting warmed up. From downtown to uptown, you'll take the scenic route. Tired legs? You'll feel fresh. From first steps to final strides. Steep hills, super steep hills. Long runs, even longer runs. Whatever comes, you can run through it. With stability, cushioning, and more comfort than ever in every step. Because nothing feels better than the adaptive stability and premium comfort of the Gel Kayano 30 shoe.
We're going to grill you.
All right. We are back on CITIUS MAG Live. I've finally put away the laptop for a little bit because I had to jump on this interview. We are joined by Canadian marathon record holder Natasha Wodak, who's getting ready to race. How many more days we got to go?
5.
5 more days.
5.
So how are you feeling?
I'm excited. I'm a little nervous because the weather keeps changing and it seems to keep getting a little hotter. So yeah.
We made it to the starting line healthy. Everything went smooth in the build-up?
Yes. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. Feeling good. Yeah. I mean, my build up towards the London Marathon in the spring, not the case. And I had to pull out literally like 7 days before. So I'm now within the safe week, I feel like. So yeah, things are good.
What's this? I saw it on your Instagram. Tuna Tasha or whatever it was. What happened in the camp?
Yeah, I got something called scombroid food poisoning.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically like fish that gets spoiled. So that in this case, it was tuna that had been like, I was the last one to eat lunch that day. It had been sort of left out, right? Okay. And I immediately had like an allergic reaction. We weren't sure what was going on. I went beet red. I was flushed. Anyways, I walked downstairs into our nutritionist who happened to be in the lobby, and I was like, something is wrong with me. And she looked at me and she was like, yep. And someone else had a similar reaction, and my ears were beet red, my head was pounding, my hives all over my body, rash. They were icing me down on the phone with the team doctor. Like, I didn't know what was happening. Nobody knew what was happening. They gave me 2 Benadryl. And I went to sleep.
Sleep it off.
But like I got changed and I was like red everywhere, just like it was crazy, like beet red tomato. It was a little scary. We didn't know what was going on, what I was allergic to. Anyways, woke up and my coach, Trent Stellingwerf, who's like a scientist, actually was the one that figured out what it was. And so when spoiled fish gets bacteria on it, it actually turns into histamine. So instead of having food poisoning, like classic food poisoning, you have a allergic reaction like I had. And I was fine. I woke up from Benadryl and I was like, all right, I'm fine.
So
like,
when did this happen?
This was on Thursday afternoon.
Oh, wow. And so like, you know, yeah, but when something like that happens, like in, you know, a week out from the race, like a little bit of fear sets in, panic.
Yes, I cried. I was sitting, like, it's funny, everyone laughs now because I was sitting in the lobby in a chair. They have ice, they're just icing me down, and I'm like, just tears streaming down my face, like panicking. Anyways, yeah, it was, I was fine. I woke up the next day and I felt a little tired, but I was like, I was fine. So.
Had a good night of sleep.
Yeah, 2 Benadryl will do that to you.
So Berlin last year, everything comes together. You break the Canadian national record. How magical was that race?
It was pretty much everything that you could have dreamt of in your dream race, and it happened to me. So I had like just a phenomenal summer of training, and you know, I had a guy pacing me, like, and he was fit and ready, and he paced absolutely perfectly. Like he took me right to the line. Yeah, and everything went well. My parents were there, my brother was there, my nephew, my partner. Like the weather was perfect. I think it was 13 degrees and overcast. Like it was everything. So it was awesome, and I knew I had it in me. So it was, you know, in a marathon, you need everything to align. You need the stars to align, the weather, your body, like the pacer, literally everything, and it all came together. So I feel very fortunate.
I was just like looking at your marathon progression and half marathon progression. 2013, and then there was like just no kind of marathon until 2020 in the last 3 years.
7-year break.
Yeah, and like, you know, it's incredible because like, you know, you're 41 now and you're doing your best running, which is so inspirational. Just take us through sort of, you know, I suppose that time off, then, you know, what got you get back into it again, and then like, you know, where did that self-belief come from that you thought like you could do what you ended up doing?
Yeah, I did my debut marathon in 2013, and it was fine, but it was nothing special, and I didn't fall in love with it. I didn't love it, and then I started running the 10,000, and it was making teams. So I was like, oh, I'm making teams. This is great. I'm running fast. So I never really wanted to try another marathon because I was like, oh, it's just like, I won't be able to run as many road races on the way. And like, so I just didn't do another one. And then COVID hit, like the pandemic happened. And I thought, well, there's this Arizona project, and it was the only race going on. And in Canada, like there was no races. Like you guys had some stuff, we had like nothing. So that was an opportunity I saw. And so I was like, let's just go for it, see what happens. And I ran the Olympic standard and made the Olympic team, and I loved it. It was just like, I was just a more mature athlete, a different coach in a totally different place in my life. And it all felt like brand new. Like the training was new. I was like PBing every workout, and it was just fun, and I loved it, and I'm still loving it. It's just been a lot of fun. Hard work, but a lot of fun.
Probably the COVID and the break in track stuff, because just pre-COVID, like you won the Pan Am Games, you were 5th in the Commonwealth Games, so there was a lot of reason to say like there was still very good running on the track. So that, I suppose, period of time like anything just allowed you more time to train, and then probably be a little bit more, I suppose, aggressive with the volume on it.
Yeah, like we still are like really low mileage. Like I think the most kilometers, sorry, I speak kilometers.
Even convert. He can do both.
In going into Arizona, I was going on the elliptical 4 days a week to supplement the mileage. I think I was only running about 130K a week, which is quite...
Wow. So that's about like 70 miles. So 145 is about 80.
Yeah.
70 miles, yeah.
Yeah, just because we were so nervous about getting injured. So I've since gotten up to about 160K a week, but that's only like 1 or 2 weeks of my entire, that's 100 miles.
I could do that, man.
Yeah, so, and still supplementing with the elliptical.
And how much of the training is about, like, because people think marathon, they think volume, but like really it's the cycles, and it's probably the consistency of training over time more than those bigger weeks.
100%. Like consistency is key. You guys know all of this. Recovery is so important. I take a day off like every 10 days to every 14 days, which a lot of marathoners don't take any days off. But for me, I love it. And I feel like I thrive when I'm really recovered, and mentally as well. I like that break from, you can get up and just go have brunch or do whatever you want to do. You don't have to worry about your run. So I like that we do it a little differently, and it works for me. And also the fact that I am 41 means that I have like years and years and years of work in my legs, and that's very valuable. And so I feel like I know that I can get away with doing a little less than the girls that are younger than me.
I've been in the presence of Kira D'Amato at races, and I see the reaction that she gets from other women who maybe thought that, hey, I couldn't possibly still be competitive at this point in my career. Whether it's post-kids, moms, and, women in their 40s, even older, you see they come up and just like the reaction is really inspiring. I guess from your perspective, what has the reaction to your success been, especially after that Canadian record?
Yeah, there's a lot of women in Canada and I guess like in the US and in their, in their 30s and in their 40s, and their moms, and they're inspired, that I'm not the only one doing it. Melindy Elmore, Sarah Hall, Lisa Whiteman, Sinead Diver, like it's incredible. And
it's
so
a movement.
So I think we're just showing, and the younger women saying like, you don't need to get it done in your 20s. Like you've got lots of time. So just like take a breather, don't rush it. Like, and for the other women, like, yeah, like you can run PBs well into your 40s, and who knows? I mean, there's no age limit on PBs and things like that. So
something that I think was so interesting about your career is that you did take a break early on, correct? Like there was a few years off where you didn't train seriously. Could you, I guess, tell a little bit about that? And did that influence your ability to go so long into your career now?
Yeah, I went to the University of Arkansas at Little Rock in 1999. Yeah, back in the day, which was quite a change from living in Vancouver, Canada. I didn't love it, so I came back after a year and a half. I took 6 months off then. Then I joined Simon Fraser University, finished my career there, and when I graduated university, I just finished running. I stopped running for, 3 or 4 years, I guess. I mean, I ran, but I didn't compete. And then, I went out with my old group one day and was like, oh, that was fun. And I just sort of kept going back to practice. And I was like, oh, I'm like getting better. Like now that I'm older and not like getting drunk every weekend. So I'll keep it real. I was a bit of a party girl in college. So, it it was, yeah, and I just kept getting better. But I think that time off did allow me to, save my legs a bit and not get burnt out, and really come to the sport later in life and make national. I didn't make my first national team, I think, until I was 28. So, yeah.
What led to what was the spark that ignited when, over the last couple of years, it's just been, the Canadian marathon record has just traded hands so many times. It's like, we see you and Melindy at the starting line. You guys are great friends, but there's also like that competitive side to it. It's like, you have it now. I think she's running Berlin this fall as well. Like, she might be going after it as well. So these last couple of years, what has elevated Canadian marathoning?
Yeah, Melindy and I are definitely buds, but we're rivals, right? Like, so I would honestly, in Berlin, if she runs the Canadian record, I would be happy for her. That's because I know I can get it back. It's always it's always different when you're like, your record gets beat and you're like, that's all I got. Like, I can't come back for that. And then there's that little bit of like, oh, bye record. But, I feel like I have more in me. I feel like I can run faster. And I think that was the same when I took it from her last time. She's like, well, I know I can run like 222, 221. So, we just keep feeding off each other. And I think that's inspiring the other Canadian women who are, like in the 228s right now. There hasn't really been any female Canadians that have run under 228 in the last 3 years. So I think that they're seeing they can definitely run down there now. So I hope that we've inspired the next generation.
I feel like we're going to have that on our hands in the U.S. because it's like Dina Kastor held the record for like the longest time, and then it's Kira, now Emily, and like Chicago's rumored to be really fast. And so I think we're on the precipice of having that on the U.S. side of things. But and then I feel like that's a whole nother rivalry too, just sort of the North American records, and sort of like Canada claimed a couple. And then now the U.S. has a bunch of them too. So for you, I guess, like, how have things changed over the last, decade or so when it comes to professional running? The super shoes came in, and I feel like for an athlete like you, that's kind of also, been another olive branch to extend your career. So how have you kind of gone about like adjusting to all these different changes?
Yeah, the super shoes were a huge game changer for me because I have osteoarthritis in both my big toe joints. I actually had surgery on my foot in 2016 because like my big toe joint like doesn't bend. And so the super shoes have literally taken the pain away because the other shoes were so flimsy, and every time I ran, it was just jamming on my toe and super painful. So when the super shoes came out, I was like, I can run hard and this doesn't hurt. So it's been huge for me. And yeah, I mean, obviously, like, that's not the only benefit. Like, we all know. I'm not going to go into the super shoe debate, but yeah, it's been awesome. That answers your question.
Yeah. So what's your A6 shoe of choice when it comes to race day?
I'm actually the Metaspeed Sky original.
Okay.
Not the Sky Plus, just the original. And they actually got me 2 pairs this last week from Japan because they're really, really hard to find. So A6 went above and beyond to make sure I got the right shoes for this race. So thank you, A6.
I love that. So
yeah.
Does it vary sort of like from, I don't know, I was never a professional runner. Like for pro marathoners, do certain people like to have like a ton of miles on those shoes? Or are some people like, I want something fresh out of the box with like a shakeout run on it and that's it? So like, has it varied to different people?
I am one that does one run in them and then I race in them. Cool. So I did my little trial session last week where we did all the fueling, and they have 9K in them, and that's where they'll stay until I race in them.
The dress rehearsal is really cool because you put on the whole kit and
Yep.
everything like that. So it's really applying the rules of like nothing new on race day.
No, my friend even sewed pockets into my bum shorts because where are you supposed to put gels? I'm running in a bikini practically, right? So you're trying to like shove them down and you get it. I mean, at least for us, we have a sports bra. I mean, you guys don't even have that option, so I won't complain too much. But yeah, so my friend sewed a pocket in the back of my top and 2 in my bum shorts. So I have room for 3 gels, which is great.
Just talking on the fueling side of the marathon, how important has that been to you? And like, say, we talk about like the advancement in super shoes and probably more knowledge inside of the nutrition side of things. Like, you know, how big now will say, you know, come World Championships in the marathon is your fueling, and like, what is your fueling strategy?
Oh, fueling is super important. And also because my coach is a scientist, so that is very, yeah. And actually in Berlin, my first 2 bottles weren't there, which was a little alarming. And I started to panic, and I was in this group of guys, and I was like, does anyone have an extra gel? And one of them was like, I have a Morton. And I was like, well, I've never had a Morton, but I'll try it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
in the moment.
Yeah, I didn't.
What are you using now?
I use goo gels.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took it and it was fine, but I practice with everything. So I had practiced with like lots of different gels. So I was pretty confident that I could take whatever and I'd be fine. But there was that like moment. And then I was also like, what if all of my bottles aren't there? Because my gels are attached to my bottles. Anyways, they ended up being there and it was fine, but it was kind of that moment.
Do you run with a few spares on you as well,
Yes.
just in case?
So in Berlin, because Kipchoge wanted his bottles like every 2.5K, we had the luxury of having out a lot of bottles, and I'm like every 7.5K.
Okay, yeah.
So that,
Because he wanted it, everyone got it.
yes.
Oh, he should demand more things, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want air
I
conditioning.
I'm pretty sure that's why. I mean, I don't know. Don't quote me on
He had
that.
the guy on the bike too. And all
Yeah,
that
don't
stuff,
quote
yeah.
me on that, but I mean, most marathons are every 5K, right? So, except Tokyo was also like there was a lot more stations as well. So I'm every 7.5K. So Worlds is every 5. So I need to carry 3 gels with me so that I can take them every 7.5K.
And then the drinks will be water. So you don't take any sort of carbohydrate drink?
Nope.
Okay, so
Everything's gels.
everything gels. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
6 gels in there.
And then say this week leading into it, because you know the way some people have this thing where like they deplete themselves of carbs sort of so far out, and then they take it 3 days. No, are you just like regular
Just
eating?
eating. I'm eating lots. Yeah.
Are you ever hungry in like real life and you have no food on you and there's nowhere to stop, but you happen to have a gel on you? And have you like ever just casually eaten a gel?
I have done that. Yes. I keep them in my car, and I have sadly done this. Yes.
Knew that was
Have
gonna be
you?
yes. Yeah, no, I think and I remember Kate Grace did it once. She posted like, "This is all I have." It was like, yeah, I mean,
have
we should
done
have
that,
some
yes.
gels while we're at Worlds. I feel like
We
we've
need
regularly
gels.
gone 12 hours without eating, so
Yeah.
gel would be nice.
They're a handy thing to have in your car, I tell you.
So for this one, like you're checking the weather. It can't be as rough as your last World Championship experience, Doha. How hot was that? Oh well, you were inside.
I ran the
stadium.
10,000. I was in the stadium, in
Is
that
there
air
an
conditioned
air
stadium.
Kipchoge was like, I think athletes should get air conditioning in the stadium.
That was, they were dropping like
Even
flies.
there.
Yeah. They were dropping like flies out in the marathon course in Doha.
Yes.
So like how, you know, depending on where championships are, like it really affects those endurance races. Like, so, you know, I suppose, how do you incorporate that in? Like today, like how does this compare to your typical training conditions at home?
Yeah, I mean, Vancouver, we've had a pretty warm summer. I think we've had like 1 day of rain in the last couple of months. I know you guys have I don't know if you've seen, there's a lot of forest fires and it's been really scary. So, yeah, it's been warm, but not this warm. Like it hasn't been hotter than like 28, 29. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Sorry.
okay.
You do,
Yeah.
you know, Celsius. So today,
You just keep it to yourself.
Oh no, I don't know the conversion.
I
of
think
that.
that's like-
I know the conversion to kilometers miles, but not Fahrenheit.
You can
Celsius.
feel it.
Yeah.
so like, for example, here this morning, it was 29 Celsius when I was running, which I think was like 87 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Sam, help me out here.
It's 20 in this room right now.
Yeah. So, but the Tokyo Marathon, it was 26 Celsius and 85% humidity at the start, and it was 30 degrees at the finish, and I did well there. So I'm remembering this and trying to stay confident that if you run smart in the heat and you follow your plan and you do all your cooling, you'll be okay. So everyone is in the same conditions. So I'm trying to look at it as this can be advantageous for me. If I run well, I can place really well because other people might not prepare for the heat the way I did.
So what's the goal race strategy for this championships?
Survive and thrive out. Just run a smart race, follow our plan, do all the cooling, try to place better than I'm ranked 15th. So it'd be nice to place in the top 10. I think that if I run smart, I can do that. So,
Yeah. So 13th at Tokyo Olympics. What was the carnage like in the last like 10K? In terms of just like, if you ran like a smart race, there were people who didn't and were just coming back to you. So like, how ugly was it?
I think I was like 21st at halfway. So I picked off, I guess, quite a few people. I was in 12th at one point, and then Sinead.
Oh, really?
Sinead
Closed
came
hard?
by me. Sinead got close. She picked off 3 people in the last 2K. Like we were all going backwards in the last 2K. But yeah, there was quite a few people that were just coming back just on the side of the road, like Salpeter. She was literally on the side of the road, like in the fetal position. And I hate to admit it, but I went by, I was like 12th, because I was in 13th at that point, and so I was like 12th. Yeah.
You said it. Bopped her on the head.
Yeah. So
I noticed when you sat down that you have the Olympic rings tattoo on the forearm. I think one of the cooler, more subtle, like really nice.
Thank you.
Tattoos. I've always thought where I would get mine.
And where's that?
It anyway. Yeah. How often are you just out in public, picking up your coffee at the coffee shop, and someone notices the rings? And I guess like, what's the general reaction? Because that one, some people have like huge. They go to the pool, they take off their shirt, and it's like bam in your face.
I was getting my nails done, and the woman said, "Oh, did you get those done for the Vancouver Winter Olympics?" Like, because they were in Vancouver, and I was like, "No, I went to the Olympics." Like, it's not
to watch. What did you catch? Gymnastics.
So it's funny. People will actually be like, "Oh, did you go to the Olympics?" And it's like, well, yes. But I guess people maybe get Olympic tattoos that haven't gone, because it's like their question is, "Did you go?" Usually, and it's like, "Yes, I did go." So
you got to clarify, like, to compete.
Yes, or
I didn't, like, when I was like credentialed to go cover the 2016 games, like in the weeks leading up to it, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to the Olympics, and people are like, oh, that's cool. I wouldn't explain to cover. Yeah. Well, I'd let them guess like what sport, and I'd get like table tennis or something.
One of my favorite Olympic tattoos is your countryman Nate Brennan. Mm-hmm. He has like the words of all the every country or every Olympic games that he went to in the rings, and like he thought he was done, and then he made another one, and he had to like keep going. I don't think he was planning on it. I think he made 4 teams. So I think when he first got the tattoo, he wasn't expecting to make 4 teams, and it's like that's a long list.
That's pretty cool to have to add on, because you didn't. Yeah, I thought about getting Rio and then Tokyo on both sides, but then I was like, if I make Paris, then what am I going to do? So
then you got to make LA and turn it into like a square or something.
LA. I was like, LA. I was like, what is in LA? Oh, the Olympics after that. I think I'll be like 40 something. I don't know, late 40s by then. So
is it true? I guess that like I read it in the New York Times, so I'd be
has
inclined
to
to believe
true.
it. That at the finish line or soon after the finish line of the Tokyo Olympics, that Melindy said to you, is like, we're doing Paris or something like that?
Not like right at the finish line, but like that day or the next day. I think I said to her, like, what are your plans? What do you want to do? And she was like, well, Paris. And I was like, oh, really? Like, oh, okay, yeah, Paris. Like, it was just because, I'm 41 right now, right? So to think, I never would have thought in my late 30s that like, when you're getting into your mid 40s that you'd be going to the Olympics. I just didn't think it was a possibility. So Melindy is 2 years older than me, or a year and a half older than me. So when she's like, obviously we're going to go to Paris, I'm like, yeah. So it's very inspiring and cool.
So now looking back, to thinking back when you're early 30s and see where you are now, what do you attribute that to? Like, and what is, like, if you were to look back now and, if you were giving advice to, other people in their 30s who think their time is nearly up, like, what has kept you going?
David is asking for himself.
And everyone else out there, right?
And everyone else from Waterford.
And everyone else out there. Because I'm actually coaching one of your fellow countrywomen right now. I don't know if you remember her name, Danette Dotzel.
Yes.
Yeah, so Danette is now living down in Sydney. She's married. She's now Danette Sheehan, and she's had 3 kids.
Oh,
and she's
three?
NCAA 10,000 meter champion back in 2012.
Yes.
And I told her I was going to be chatting with you today,
Okay.
and so she's going to be glued to this. But, you know,
Shout out.
No, but, yeah, but similar, like, you know, a girl that has like incredible talent, and same as like to be able to like still plenty of running. You know, I suppose, what is it that you think that has allowed you to be this, and you know what maybe looking back have you changed, or would you give advice to somebody?
I think a lot is circumstances too. Like I want to coach when I'm done competing, so it's not like I'm waiting to start my career. So like I know some people may want to go to medical school or be lawyers or whatever, and they're anxious to get their career started. So that's a whole other scenario, right? For me, it was, I'm making money running. This is really fun. I want to keep doing it. So that
Shout out A6.
So that worked really well for me. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I got a criminology degree that I don't want to do anything with. So the circumstances helped me a lot. Having a supportive partner and great coach, and just like loving the sport. You have to love the sport. If you're just like doing it to like, everyone tells me I'm good and I should be doing this, so I'm going to keep doing it, it's not a good enough reason. Like, you have to do it because you love it, and like every day, even if it's raining, part of that run, you're enjoying it still. So I think I do. I have that passion for it. And
do you feel like there's more patience? As you've gone older, you feel like there's patience is a big part of it as well?
Oh, huge. Yeah. Like, I mean, there was a lot of time where I was not running well and I was getting injured, and like that would have probably been the time when a lot of people would quit and be like, okay, it's time to like have a baby or like whatever. And I just was like, no, I think I'm going to keep doing this, and it's going to work. It has to work.
What's the closest you've come to like retiring?
In 2017, I had surgery on my foot, and at the end of 2016, and I parted ways with my coach, and I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm 35. Is this time to just like call it a day? But then I got a new coach, and my toe healed, and
Super shoes.
super shoes. Yeah, I went to World Champs in London and ran well, and I was like, all right, let's just keep going. So, yeah, I've been very fortunate too to have a partner that supports what I do, and that's huge too, right? And I don't have kids, and I don't want kids, so it's also a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want.
No, he's got kids. He's the only one who has kids here. So for this race that's coming up, I went back and I watched like last year's World Championship marathon, and it's like the Ethiopians and the Kenyans, they just took it out so hard.
Yeah.
And like the American women like ran like a really smart race and like picked people off. I mean, you've been to enough of these world marathon majors where you've been exposed to that. I guess like how do you exercise that patience and sort of like, all right, that's what's happening up in the front. I'm just going to stick to my race plan, and like fighting off that temptation and be like, maybe I could make the move.
It's very difficult, and I'm very scared that I'm not going to be able to do that. But my coach is going to be out there, my parents, my partner, and of course you can see them a lot, right? So they'll be yelling at me if I do anything stupid. So
You get an earpiece.
yeah, they'll throw something at me. What are you doing, idiot? Slow down. So I was able to we were lucky in Tokyo because it went out slow. The Tokyo Marathon, or Olympic Marathon, it was pretty slow, but it did pick up around, I think, 18K. And I knew I didn't want to run faster than like 330 kilometers. And I ran a couple 328, 329s, and I was like, no, I have to follow my race plan. And so I backed it off and I let them go. Like I let some people go, and I was just like, hopefully they'll come back. And they did. So I'm trying to remember that. I need to keep that in my head. Like, patience will pay off. The marathon is a patience game. I know it to be true. It worked for me in Berlin. I negative split like 90 seconds in the second half. So I'm just going to try my very, very best to remember this conversation on Saturday.
What was I talking about the other day with the CITIUS guys? Something I'm just curious of, you've been doing it now for a really long time. What is it about just being a professional runner in general that you enjoy so much that it's just like you want to keep doing it?
Getting paid to run and travel the world
That part's pretty
and
cool.
to run. Yeah, it's such a privilege to do what we do. Like, I would love to do it as long as I can, and that's why I keep doing it. And I think just like the travel is great. The run community is fantastic, meeting people. Yeah, I feel really lucky, and running fast is fun. Like it's fun.
Yeah, because I guess like one of the most interesting things with like all of these marathoners competing here at Worlds is that, you know, it's exciting for them to be part of this. But I think the first question everyone kind of asks is like, why are you running the World Championship Marathon? There's no appearance fee. Like so many people get locked into like, I'm doing New York and then I'm doing Boston or Chicago, like just that sort of rotation. For you, that like you've run World Championships before at Olympics and like there's no appearance fees there. You've done the majors. So what is it about the Canadian kit and putting that on that kind of really, you know, it empowers you to take up these opportunities?
Yeah, so last summer I skipped the World Championships in Eugene to run Berlin. And so that was going for the Canadian record, trying to, you know, secure my carding through Athletics Canada, make some money, blah, blah, blah. So this year I planned to do London. That was my go get Olympic standard, make your money race, like, and then put on the kit. And like, I haven't raced a World Champs marathon. I've raced the 10,000 at World Champs. I've raced the Olympic marathon. So this is something that I was like, I really want to do it. And Budapest sounded like a good opportunity. And looking statistically at the weather, it looked like you could maybe get away with running not a super fast time, but hopefully still sneak under that 2:26.50. So we thought we could, you know, if I didn't get it done in London, I could get it done here. But we also in Canada, we don't have a trials.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what is sort of like that pathway to Paris look like? Because, like, for us, like, it's very clear cut on the women's side, like top 3 at the trials. And I guess, like, from what I remember for 2020, like, what is it, top 2? And then, or like, if you win the Canadian national championship, then like you secure your spot, and it's 2 discretionary spots. I guess, like, can you explain it for us?
Yeah, I will do that.
Yeah.
They have.
I was like, I'm getting this wrong.
That was correct for 2016.
Oh, okay.
Or sorry, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. They have since scrapped the Canadian Championships, and now it's 3 discretionary spots, but you can get an automatic selection if you place top 8 at World Championships.
Oh, now we know why.
In standard. So, yeah. But, you know, that was also a draw to this, knowing that was part of our criteria. Get the standard, get in the top 8, you're going to the Olympics. Otherwise, it's basically they pick their top 3. And like, there's only 2 Canadian women that have ever run under the entry standard. So that's myself and Melindy. So hopefully we can get that done and see another few Canadian women have some breakthroughs. It'd be really great to see them.
With all these countries that it's left up to like a panel of people to decide who's on the team, I always wonder, it's like, are people pulling out different stops, like inviting the people to dinner or just like saying like, hey, checking in on them, like, how are you doing, or anything like that?
I have these Taylor Swift tickets I can't use. Do you want them?
Yeah. All you got to do is just put me on the team. But it's so interesting. And like sometimes like Kenya's famous for like fumbling it and like just naming a totally wrong team. But it seems like Canada's got it together.
I mean, generally they go down the line, right? Like it
makes it easier.
They have, I mean, I think there's been some times where they've taken 4th instead of 3rd based on like where they're at. Like they might not be as fit as the other person. So they've done that. And I think that it's been fair when they have done that. So
you're here at Worlds last night. Canada wins a gold medal in the hammer throw. Like, were you in the stadium? Like, was that exciting for you? And also, like, what other events are you looking forward to?
I was in the stadium. It was crazy. It was so exciting. So really, really fun. And also Mo was running. So
that's right.
Yeah. And Mo and I've been on many, many national teams with Mo. So it was really exciting to watch him race. 6th place in that field. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys that was phenomenal. Like, I know he can medal and he wanted to medal. So knowing Mo, he was probably disappointed with that. But that was very exciting to watch. And yeah, and the 1500 semis were really exciting. It was just, the stadium was packed. Yeah. It was, I mean, you were sitting in your own sweat, but it was so much fun. Yeah. I was there for almost 4 hours, and I realized that I can't really be doing that every night. So I'm glad that I got that experience. I probably won't go back until after my race, but really fun.
What are the Team Canada like vibes like? Because it's sort of like, we're just so, we know at Team USA House they're playing video games together, and like, who are the captains of this squad?
Marco, our 800 guy,
that's
is our captain.
He's a leader.
He's the leader. He's
I've
so
seen him
chill
race,
too.
yeah.
He's like he's so chill and like so nice and so humble, like lovely. And Sarah Mitten, she was 4th last year, I believe, at World Champs in the shot put. So great team leaders. They try to switch it up every year. So everyone's always like, Damien, because it's like, oh, Damien's been captain. So yeah, it's great. We were all most of us were at a training camp in Spain for 10 days before here. So we have like, I don't know if you saw my Instagram or anyone's Instagram, but we have like a rookie night. And so all the rookies have to do skits, which is very fun. Even the staff actually won.
Wow.
Yeah, one of our IST jumped down into the splits at the very end, and we were all like, "What?" Like, no one was expecting it. Yeah, so it's like a tradition. I have been rookied many times because it's like cross country is a whole thing, Olympics is its own thing, Worlds its own thing. So I've been rookied 3 times. So I've had to do many skits.
What's the greatest performance you've seen, like, of the skits?
We did the Harlem Shake in our whole team, and Cam Levins and Mo were on that team too. You guys got to go back in time and find that. It was World Cross 2013 or 2015 maybe.
Okay.
And the whole team did it, and it was hilarious. Like, do you remember the Harlem Shake trend?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to find it.
Chris lives in
YouTube it.
Harlem.
Yeah,
That's how they get around.
No, but that's actually really funny because, like, a guy like Cam is just like so even keel and chill, and like to see him do the Harlem Shake.
That's what I mean. That's what's like even Cam.
Yeah. Well, Natasha, we appreciate you taking the time to sit with us. Wishing you all the best of luck. We're going to be doing a show during the marathon, but I think it's right on the course. I think you guys scouted out the location earlier, and so we'll peek our heads over and let out a couple cheers all throughout. So thanks so much for doing this.
Welcome, thank you. Are you gonna yell to Natasha? I mean,
I'll
know it's you.
A huge sign. All right, coming up after this, we've got U.S. American record holder in the mile, Nikki Hiltz. So we'll see you right after this.
E6. Sound mind, sound body. 365 days. 1 year until history is made. A lifetime of preparation that will lead us to the ultimate test. 365 days until we show the world what a sound mind and a sound body can do. See you in Paris.
Stability never felt better. The first 5 miles, you're just getting warmed up. From downtown to uptown, you'll take the scenic route. Tired legs? You'll feel fresh. From first steps to final strides. Steep hills, super steep hills. Long runs, even longer runs. Whatever comes, you can run through it. With stability, cushioning, and more comfort than ever in every step. Because nothing feels better than the adaptive stability and premium comfort of the Gel Kayano 30 shoe.
E6. Sound mind, sound body. 365 days. 1 year until history is made. A lifetime of preparation that will lead us to the ultimate test. 365 days until we show the world what a sound mind and a sound body can do. See you in Paris.
Stability never felt better. The first 5 miles, you're just getting warmed up. From downtown to uptown, you'll take the scenic route. Tired legs? You'll feel fresh. From first steps to final strides. Steep hills, super steep hills. Long runs, even longer runs. Whatever comes, you can run through it. With stability, cushioning, and more comfort than ever in every step. Because nothing feels better than the adaptive stability and premium comfort of the Gel Kayano 30 shoe.
All right, and now we are joined by American record holder and World Championships finalist from 2019. But Nikki Hiltz, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us less than 24 hours after your race. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I literally just came from the thermal baths across the bridge right there.
That's where they are, right
Do
there.
you need a reservation? Because I've been looking into
Yeah, you just get a ticket online and then go in, and there's so many different pools. It's cool. There's a few different ones, but we heard that was the best one. So
I'm still determined. I want to do an interview with Joe Kovacs in one of those thermal baths, and I need to make that happen over the next couple of days. So, the race fast. I mean, it was crazy.
You're telling me.
So, I guess take us through it. We didn't get the chance to catch you in the mix zone afterwards because we had to rush out to get to do the show. But, I mean, how did everything shake out?
Yeah, it was just, before the heat even started, I was talking to Mike about it. He's like, okay, if it goes slow, I don't think it's gonna go slow.
Don't worry about that.
Actually, never mind. No, we knew it was gonna be fast, but I think I don't know. I did my best. I think, with 800, it was hard because I haven't really been in a lot of those fast races. But I was I think at 800, I was perfect. I think if I had gone out a little bit faster, I would have blown up even more. And then I think if I was any slower, I really would have missed the move. So I put myself in the best place for me. And then I think I wish at 500 to go, I made a move, but it's just hard to get around people. And I also had a 403 in my legs the day before. And but yeah, I don't know. It shook out the way it did. I think I had to run 3:56 to make the final. I think I'm in 3:57 shape. So could I have done it? Maybe but I don't know. It's just the way the heats are drawn sometimes.
What's the vibe like with the other athletes after stepping off the track? Adele Tracy ran, 3:58, set a national record. A bunch of athletes ran really, really fast. Yeah. Are you guys all just what the hell? A small group of you on a cool down just being
that's exactly messed up. We're all going down together. And I was great PR. She's thanks. Yeah, that's exactly it. We're well, what are you going to do? Yeah.
Yeah, that second heat could have been a final in itself.
Yeah, we were, when I first saw the heat, it was me, Sinclair, and Joe Bossard on the bus back from round one. And Sinclair goes, oh, heats are out. And then she initially goes, they look pretty even. And then me and Joe kind of pull it up at the same time. And I'm I don't think so. And Joe literally goes, yeah, heat 2 looks pretty hard, Nikki. I'm well, I don't know. And then we were joking. I was yeah, I like breakfast. Isaac was oh, do you have semis today? I was no, I have the world final.
The best world final ever.
No, but that's a good thing. I was kind of telling you out of round one. I feel I had a hard round one heat, and I was but kind of sometimes you can go into the rounds oh, this is gonna be easy. It's this isn't the final. This is just round one. And so going in, I'm this is going to be really hard. And then it both were really hard.
You told me about the golf carts and how they're taking you to, and you looked at the people on your cart after round one, and you were oh, this is the people they think are gonna make it through. Yeah. Did they put you on the right cart?
No. Well, they did. They actually accurately picked me on the bad cart.
So you weren't with Faith?
Faith has her own cart.
With Faith. Yeah.
Faith should have her own cart. Yeah. Call room, describe it, I guess, at a meet like this. What is it any different from, what you experienced in 2019?
Yeah, I think a little bit more chaotic, but
who's being chaotic?
Safan's a little behind. We all have our spikes on. And
this doesn't surprise me because
trainer still on.
There was a video that was going viral on Twitter about just sort of me before having my morning coffee. Or no, that's what I wanted to tweet. And it was or this is how, hope this email finds you well, how the email found me. And it's Safan Hassan on the starting line, and they introduce her, and she waves, and then very soon as the camera's moving on, she's God. And it's the most visibly already tired.
Yeah.
And it's like, you signed up for this. You're doing 3 races. So it does not shock me that Sifan Hassan is like the last one getting ready in the call room.
I mean, it's really funny. Like all the officials are like, line up. And she's just like, like, you know, not a care in the world, but you know, it's fine. They do it like, they honestly are a little too early to try to like with TV and everything. So you know how
the bathroom situation as well. Always, it's like, well, I like to go right before, and sometimes
there was a bathroom.
Yeah. Some meets, it's like, all right, use it now if you need it, and we're like, we have 35 minutes. I am not gonna make it.
Kate Grace, I think, once famously like told a story about how like she got locked into like the bathroom like at the Olympics, and was like, she could hear them calling. I was like, all right, we gotta go, and she's like, what do I do? She was like trying to crawl out, but I think finally made it out. That it's just the little extra bit of stress that you don't need before like the biggest race of your life. It's yeah.
Wow, new fear unlocked.
Yeah, so don't use the bathroom before you go on the track.
How did preparation go from trials to leading into Worlds?
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, I think I had a great build up. Like I was doing some really good workouts, and like you know, Monaco is obviously awesome, and I'm really glad I did that. Like, and then I think it just sometimes like you just don't have it. Like I've been on it like every single race, so it's like it sucks to have probably one of my worst performances on the biggest stage, but like
personal best.
True.
Yeah. Depending on how you look at en route time, so let's not be too harsh on yourself.
But it's great to have this experience now a year out from London, right? And like, you know, you've had a full European season, Paris. You've had a full European season, like, you know, awesome races the whole way through. How difficult is it to like, you know, like how are you managing, like, you know, and with Mike, like how are you managing all these races and then also trying to like, you know, get training in, but also like go to trials and then come here and like run your best?
Yeah, exactly. It's like we talked, you know, after the race, and it was like, you know, this is great motivation for next year. And like, you know, the road to Paris like started yesterday, and like, I can't think of like a better year to like be disappointed and really motivated to make a final than like the year before an Olympics. So yeah, I mean, I think, I'm just really excited. And I think also like racing, like doing 2 races here and just like seeing what it takes, it makes like the trials or USAs like just a little bit more manageable. Like just even when I think about it, like it's obviously gonna be so hard to make that team. And like, you know, I know what it takes to win and to be top 3, and like, but it's like, I'm just so much more confident. Like I can check that box because I'm trying to check, okay, I want to make the world final. Like I can definitely do that. So yeah.
As one of Johnny's many mental coaches, something that we talk about is the importance of going to races that you're going to win or can win.
Yeah. Because
obviously there's like a temptation to always get in the absolute best race possible every single time. It's like probably tempting now that you're in Diamond League races to go to every single one. Mm-hmm. But I've always really liked the way you structure your seasons, because it does allow you to have those real momentum building, like the feelings of, you know, the boxer who's starting his career out with some easy wins before building up to the championship. Yeah. Is that something you think about, like, let's get in the winning ways, or is it just so happen like you just win a lot anyway?
No, I definitely, like, I feel like last summer I just, like, every race I did, it was like, I want to win and I can win. Like that was definitely, I think, huge for like my success this year of like just practicing, like just competing, and like in every race I'm in, compete for the win. And like the whole season I was kind of, you know, doing like Guardian Mile or like Falmouth Mile, like not European Diamond Leagues, you know, still great races. And then I got to Fifth Ave. I was like, okay, this is a big one. Let's see how this momentum has shifted to the best in the world. And I got second, like, you know, so I was like, oh, competing no matter where you are, no matter what level it is like everything. And like, I think that's, I'm all for that. It's like, I think a lot in college coaches, I don't know, this happened to me, like freshmen is like, you know, really good in high school, won all their races in high school, and they get to college and it's like, this is a different game. So a lot of times a coach will be like, you're in the B heat and I'm putting you in the B heat for a reason.
Pissed. You're like,
yeah.
What? Come on.
And then the kid wins and it's the best thing you could have done for them, you know?
That is a really, really good coaching move. Mm-hmm. Something that, you know, watching the races with Mac all season long, something that we keep saying is it's like, oh, that's the fastest Nikki's ever gone through. Yeah. Like you've been in races now that are totally at a different level than before. is there anything that you have to do in training to prepare to go through in splits that maybe aren't familiar on the clock?
I think live at 7,000 feet.
Yeah, that helps.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to get into those races, and that's the hardest part, honestly. Like the workouts we do, like we're working to be able to come through in 207, 208, and be fine, and still have to kick off of that. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is experience, and like I just want to keep getting in as many sub 4 races as possible, because I'm in a lot of like 403, 405 races, and I've like mastered those just because I'm in so many of them, and it's like I want to learn how to run sub 4 and like be in them, and what does that feel like and look like.
Something that I think that you've always done, you've always been really transparent, but really this year you've been, showing the messages. You wrote a letter to yourself that you shared on Twitter, but the person who I think has the most pressure on her now is your mom. Like, she has to like really deliver before every single race. It's like, what quote am I gonna break out that is going to go viral now? So
yeah, it's true.
No question, just a comment.
Good thing my mom doesn't have social media though, so that's good. Okay. She's not like, oh, they hated it. Like,
you think this one's good?
Yeah. No, it's true.
No, but speak to, I guess, just the idea, because there's a lot of things of the conversations that you have leading in really do, I guess, set your mind right. And the people you're talking to and you're surrounding yourself with, is that something that you really try to do your best of, like, all right, before a race, let's stay off social media, or let's make sure I'm getting breakfast with this person because they, really calm me. I guess, is that something that you ever think about?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, at meets like this, I love, like, Team USA, we're all there. Like, I feel like I love getting breakfast with people and then just, like, staying there for hours and just chatting with all the other extroverts that choose to stay, But, yeah, I think, like, I just think about before Monaco, like, it's a weird time change, and but, like, Mike called me, like, maybe 3 hours before, and we had this great conversation about, like, just really like race plan and what we're going to do and what to expect and like compete and all that, and just like nerding out on tactics and who's going to do what and whatever. And then right after the phone call, Emma called me. And so then I'm like FaceTiming Emma, and we're having like a similar conversation, but more about like, the mental side, like, and like, yeah. And then my mom texts me right after that phone call. So I'm like, I have the most incredible support system of like, just people that I get to like share this journey with, and like, I don't know. I feel so lucky.
I thought it was kind of a baller move when I found out Mike Smith's not here, that it's just like cross country starting up. It's like, you're passing on the world championships. It's like, I guess the full-time job comes first.
Mike likes to pretend he's like, pros. I don't coach any pros. Team name? No, what are you talking about?
It is still to this day, like, the funniest thing. It's like, Mike, you have a team. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nikki who?
But he seems, for such a busy guy, like, he seems to like have such an individual touch on like each of his athletes. And like, I suppose just speak to that about like Mike, like how, there's obviously the side of the knowledge of the applying the training, but then there's the side of like building your confidence. How do you find that?
No, it's awesome. And like, I think he's that way with his college team too. Like, right. It's like, they're all running a 10K or 6K cross country, but it's like, they're all individuals out there. And so it is really individualized, and he's just like a really, I think the like most important thing that Mike brings is like the mentality of like let go of outcome and expectations, like literally just compete, and then like everything's gonna follow. And I think we've all really bought into that, and like it's working. And when he was like, I'm not gonna come, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. It's cross.
He seems like a philosopher. Does he like read a lot?
He's
meditating.
He like doesn't have TV, so He
doesn't have no electricity.
Because we're living in an age now where like everything is social media, and like it. Is there a point where like sometimes you think like, God, like what would it be like if I just kind of like put it aside and like, for my running sake, of course sponsorships, of course all of that, but at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, what are you going to look back on that's going to make you the happiest? Is there a side of that sometimes and like every athlete, that you think about, like, has it become too much? Do I need to like push it back? Would it free up my mental space?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a balance for sure. And like, I think there was a point in time where it did really affect like my mental space and performance. And like, I was talking to Kenneth Rooks the other day, and he was like, I guess someone made his Instagram for him, like he didn't have one. And I was like, so do you like it? He's like, I haven't figured it out. Like, I don't go on a lot. I'm like, what's that like? Like, you know.
What do you do?
He accepted a collab tag with us, which like probably led to just his phone blowing up. And I hope for him, like he just figured out how to disable the notifications. But when I saw that he accepted it, I was like, oh, he's on Instagram now. Like things are really changing for Ken.
Yeah.
Showed him a whole new world.
Whole new world.
Nikki, is the season like finished now, or are you going to continue on something like the
Fifth Ave.
There's
a great after party there, always, every year.
So what's the sort of plan? I suppose what's the sort of plan for the rest of the season, and then when it's over, you know, what are you thinking about from here then to Paris?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do Fifth Ave. I'm confirmed for that. And then maybe a race in between now and then, because we do have a while. I don't know. I would love to like rip an 800. Like I just want to see what I can do. And then. Yeah, after, shut it down after Fifth, and then get ready for the Pride 5K. And then
plug it right into that camera.
Tell them.
Yeah, October 7th, sign up. It's $35, and all the proceeds go to helping LGBTQ people. So, yeah. We're sending out shirts when we get back from Budapest. And then, I think for next year, just like I love having an indoor season. I've always had one. Have a good indoor season, and then
you have a title to defend now,
right?
Indoor season? Do you mean short track?
Oh yeah, short track.
Sorry, never had a short track season. You're right. And then I guess full send the Olympics.
I love that.
Yeah.
So now that you've gotten the invite to some diamond leagues, you world champs, like the atmosphere, this world champs, there's no disparaging Hayward Field on this show, but I mean it's just next level. How does it compare to some of the other meets? Like when you were on the track yesterday, I was like watching the heptathlon 800, and I was like, "There's no way you can run slow when there's this many people being so loud for you." Like, what does that feel like?
It's crazy. Like you like, if you're not nervous before, like you're like shitting your pants on the track because it is nerve.
It could be like someone mistiming bicarb or something like that, but that could be it too.
Yeah, no, it's electric. Like, I'm glad that I really like both rounds really took it in, because like. The final is not guaranteed, and like it was awesome. Like even day one, like morning session I was like, oh wow, like this is loud. And then yesterday, it was right when like I think like we were lined up right when the hammer throwers were walking out, and anytime that guy moved, like
every time he threw, the stadium just erupted.
Yeah, and it was like eruption. I was like, this is sick. And then I literally got to watch Tara Davis like jump her 691 on the start line, and they were holding us. They're like holding you for TV. I'm like, yeah, because they're filming Tara. And so I was like clapping with her, and it was sick. Like it was awesome. So I'm really glad I took it all in, because like I also know that like this isn't guaranteed. Like I remember making the team in 2019 and like really soaking it in and like thinking like, okay, this is my first of many, and it's taking me 4 years to get back here. So I'm like, I know that this might not happen again, so I'm gonna really like take it all in.
Being in the stadium, I always have this thought. I'm like, how is this not the most popular sport in the world? Like, this is the coolest thing. Like, how does not everyone know about this? But something that I think you do a really good job of, and I always compliment Allie Feller on this, of like the ability to bring people on the outside into the sport for the first time. And something that you've done with your platform that I think is really cool is the ability to have converted people who were just Nikki fans into track fans. Mm-hmm. Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, for sure. I think
now on TikTok, especially because you're doing more running content on there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I met a photographer the other day, and they were shooting me for like an article, and they were like, yeah, I don't watch track, but now I do.
It's so cool.
Yeah. No, it's fun. And I also like, for people like that, like the big queue system, like little things like that, like so much easier to watch. But even now people are like, it's actually funny. Everyone's like, I don't understand how you didn't make the final. You ran faster than everyone in Heat 1. Can you explain that to me? And I'm like, I really can't. I don't know. Like, yeah.
No, I'm just still caught up on the visual of you on the starting line clapping along with Tara, and then Stefano Sanji, let's get this shit over with. I just love it. Well, Nikki, you got.
Oh no, I was just going to say, because I got to see you race in Europe this summer. What was your favorite race and favorite experience this season?
Oh man,
This has to be so hard to top.
A European one?
Yeah, no, outside of the championships. Yeah.
Okay, not USA's.
Yeah.
I think Oslo. Yeah, I think Monaco was cool, but I don't know. I think that was just so special, it being like my first Diamond League, and like that was my first like really big crowd.
The crowd was amazing there.
Yeah, and it was awesome, and like yeah, I think I competed well there, and it was really cool to have like me and Corey run well, and like yeah, I feel like that really started the like momentum of like, oh wait, I didn't know what the American outdoor record was. Like I knew the indoor, and then I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's the same, like 4:16, and like, oh, Corey and I are within 2 seconds of that. So that was kind of the first time it put it on my radar of like, oh, that is a record that's possible. And like, we're in 4:18 shape in June. What does that mean in like August? And I was thinking then, I was like, because I didn't know Monaco was going to be a mile. I was like, I kind of want to go break the mile record at Sir Walter, I was like thinking of like
soil.
Yeah, I was thinking of like a mile I could do in August, and then it happened that Monaco was a mile, so I really wanted to get into that one. So
There used to be a great one that we got rid of.
I know.
Where was it?
Little town, Long Island.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the crowd in Oslo, and yeah, it was the first like big European crowd. I was like, oh, people care about track here. This is sick. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Nikki, we'll see you at Fifth Ave. We'll see you in the stands, over the next couple of days, enjoying all the track and field things. But thank you so much for taking the time and sitting down with us.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me, and thanks for all you guys do for the sport. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, look into the camera. Say something really nice about CITIUS MAG.
CITIUS MAG is incredible, and everyone should smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to CITIUS MAG Live at Worlds. We'll be back on live with our post-race analysis after all of the action wraps up tonight at the stadium. We've got the women's hundreds. Like those, we're going to be going pretty crazy for it no matter what happens, because it's just I've lost sleep over it. That's just very us and what we do. So thanks for tuning in. Like Nikki said, smash the subscribe button if you enjoy content like this, and catch all of our interviews from the Mix Zone. We'll see you guys on YouTube later tonight. Thanks for tuning in.
E6. Sound mind, sound body. 365 days. 1 year until history is made. A lifetime of preparation that will lead us to the ultimate test. 365 days until we show the world what a sound mind and a sound body can do. See you in Paris.
Stability never felt better. The first 5 miles, you're just getting warmed up. From downtown to uptown, you'll take the scenic route. Tired legs? You'll feel fresh.